Alright, everybody. It is time for another week of our live show, Game Wisdom Live, for the week of December 10th, 2017. It has been one crazy week. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, of course, we are doing this at our new time. This is Sunday. We kind of missed the time there, but we're set up and we're going to be doing things around 2:30 going forward. Maybe 2:33. We'll see how things go. But of course, joining me is video game producer Robert Leach. How are you doing? Hey, Alberto. You've been gone for about 2 weeks. It feels like it's been like 2 months at this point. Yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting 2 weeks around here. So, first off, we have good news and bad news. The good news is we finally hit over 2,500 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Halfway to 3,000 now. The bad news, though, is that Patreon has certainly been in the news in the worst way this week. Oh, Rob is not coming in. Oh, 1 second. There we go. Though I clicked it, I guess OBS was lagging. There you go. Now everyone can hear you.
All right. Hello.
There. All right. The bad news, though, is that, as I said, Patreon has been in the news. They've been changing their payment structure, which has angered a lot of the patrons. And has unfortunately caused a few people to get off of my Patreon and basically in a disagreement with their or protesting. So, let me see. There we go. So it seems like we're now underneath our $100 for the first goal. So hopefully things will change. I'm hoping that people have been told there may be another viable option in the future. But unfortunately, it's still too soon to tell. But we'll see what happens by the end of the month. Just in time for the holidays, though, right? It seems like everything's going to be going crazy there.
Yeah, the holidays make everything terrible. And I got to say, though, the whole Patreon thing, and you had really just given me the details, but it's one thing to protest Patreon itself, but it does hurt all the people you're trying to patronize. So it's such a double-edged sword. I know it's great to want to... I feel like it's the content providers that should be, doing the protesting, not the patrons. I know that that is not always how it works out, and you guys are the ones who get hurt in this whole crossfire.
Yeah. It's definitely been a bit of trouble, and again, it's one of those issues when there's no competition or no viable competition in the market. If someone does something bad, you can't exactly go somewhere else. I mean, I could start like a Kickstarter or, GoFundMe, but it's not the same, and we lose a lot in terms of the structure and the rewards scheme as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to... I mean, I don't have any solutions, certainly.
And we'll just have to see if things get better. I did post the podcast I did with Colin today we did about video game law. It seems like probably the most inopportune time for all that to happen, though. But we'll see how things pan out there. Also, for those of you watching this, the voting for the Saturday Night Grab Bag is going to be going up, at least for today. And this will probably get posted either Monday or Tuesday. But I'll make another little quick announcement video with the spreadsheet link later today. But let me see if there's anything else in terms of news. I did my first week of some temporary work Monday and Friday. I'm going to be doing again this week. So it's, time away, but it's easy money and it's only 2 days. So, a little thing to help out for the holidays.
Yeah.
I am in the talks with Cliff Harris and Jake Burgett to do a podcast with them this week. We're looking at Tuesday. Once I get confirmation about the time, I'll make an announcement regarding that. But of course, Jake just released his game Shadowhand, which is kind of like a solitaire meets an RPG kind of game, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But let me see, anything else? Also, for those of you watching this either live or recorded, let us know what you're thinking about regarding the time. Again, we started around 3. We're going to try and shoot for 2:33 on Sundays, at least going forward. So
that was my bad.
Not a problem. For once, I was on time, which is at least good on my part. But let us know what you think regarding this time. Do you like it around here? Would you like it a little bit later? In terms of the day, we're going to keep it like this just because Rob is busy at 2K getting ready to sell those loot boxes. So unfortunately, we can't have him spilling trade secrets on the Thursday night show.
Yeah, lips are sealed.
But like we said at the start, now that I got Rob unmuted, it's been 2 weeks. It seems like it's been forever since we last spoke. So, what has been going on with you over these last 2 weeks?
Just lots of work. I mean, my goodness, my schedule has shifted, and my hours at work have shifted big time in this new transition from the fringe gaming business and a startup on top of that to a well-established, massive, huge games company like Take-Two. So it's a different world altogether. The ramp up has been very steep, but it's been very rewarding so far. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people think of the product I'm working on when it comes out in the next 6 months or so.
Any word on getting Josh boxes implemented?
I'm still trying to push that.
All right. Don't steal the idea, though, Rob. I want to see Rob boxes coming from 2K next year.
I think that name is already taken. I'm pretty sure somewhere.
Oh boy! So in terms of news this week and games we've played, I guess there is a lot to talk about. So I guess were you catching up on anything regarding the whole Battlefront 2 fiasco over last week?
I have not been. Not at all. What has happened new there? Oh, sorry, I keep bumping the desk.
They basically tried to get away with those massive loot boxes for Battlefront 2, and the whole thing just collapsed on them. There's been talks regarding designating loot boxes as gambling and doing regulations regarding that. And it seems to have quieted down since last week. I haven't heard anything too big about it then, but it certainly blew up. Oh, and of course the Game of the Year awards were this past Thursday. If you had a chance to watch any of that.
No, my boss was there representing 2K Sports because I think NBA 2K was up for award but did not win.
Mm-hmm. I had to take a drink there. And yeah, so the award show, I think Cuphead won several awards, which was nice.
Oh, nice.
They showed off Hideo Kojima's next game, Death Stranding, which no one has any idea what the hell's going on there. And From Software apparently announced, but maybe not announced, their next game, which could be Bloodborne, but we have no idea. They basically weren't really saying much. Let's see, Link is going to be riding a motorcycle in the next Breath of the Wild DLC. I guess, okay. Link's
Why not?
on him.
He can go fishing while he's riding his motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Elgort just posted in chat that Battlefront 2 barely made $1 million in sales, and they were expecting 14 million. So it's not doing so well there. And who knows if it will be able to recoup, especially for a multiplayer game, because as we've talked about before, community is such a big part of that if your community doesn't really show up, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy that's going to fail.
Well, certainly the holidays are going to give it a bit of a bump, given its property, its IP. People are just going to buy the game for other people.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with that. But the whole loot box thing has certainly been called into question, especially among AAA games. So, who knows what's going to happen with that going forward?
Yeah, well, maybe I do at some point in time. I actually do not deal with that side of things. I probably won't be touching loot boxes ever unless my project changes. But, I'll deal with it when it comes. Note that my opinions do not represent those of Take-Two. Apparently.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things pan out. There's also the guy there from that game, No Way Out, that co-op game from the developers of Brawlers, who he basically just went on like a little crazy rant while he was up on stage live, saying, F the Oscars and all kinds of crazy stuff. I think Jeff Keighley just like stood there, an out of body experience while that was going on.
It's Those kind of award shows are always interesting when you give people who shouldn't have a mic and a gargantuan audience.
Hmm. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I know people got upset about Conan O'Brien. He did some kind of sketch there. By that point I turned it off. After I saw the Hideo Kojima trailer, I was like, I'm done for the evening. I need to go lie down and process what I just saw.
Did he do his he can't play games little sketch?
Probably, I think so, but I have no idea. Oh, and Oscar just reminded me about the whole thing regarding single player games. Bethesda had like a little mock commercial with Linda Carter saying that they support single player games and their games are on sale. Oh goodness, they're still talking about single player games dying. I think we'll have to do like a discussion on that at some point.
Yeah, we touched on it before, but certainly that's something near and dear to my heart for sure.
Hmm. And speaking about games on sale, since we missed you last week, Rob, how did the whole Steam Holiday Black Friday sale hit you?
It went well. I had $60 of credit, and it all went away in like an hour. um, I Let's see what I got here. I played all of them except one, the one that I kind of should have played through by now. I got Windward, which is an interesting
Hmm.
game. I'm not sure what to make of it yet. It seems a little slow, but I'll keep playing it and see what happens. Grim Dawn, I finally got Grim Dawn. I did pick up the Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 Triple Thrill Pack, which just kind of is in my genre, but I haven't done much with it. There are some limitations that I already stumbled onto with the creation aspect of a fresh park from scratch that I did not know were in the game. Apparently, there are more items in the library of the game than you can actually put, given the game's limited memory. So you can only have it's like 256 items or what have you, and there's hundreds and hundreds. So you have to limit yourself and really figure out what you want out of the custom game when you open one. Let's see. One that has been a long time coming, like decades, is Shadowgate. I got the kind of improved version of Shadowgate improved, and I played that for a little bit. Still have a ways to go. In fact, I was not getting very far, and the save game was not working, and so I was trying to just die. I was trying to die, and I couldn't figure out how to die. I thought it would be easier than that, and or lose the game, I should say. And then Sunless Sea, which I would like to play more of. It's very interesting. I've always wanted to play that one. Sanctuary RPG, which I'd always been wanting to play because it's got the ASCII graphics and a kind of a old school feel, but I was very disappointed by that one. It was it felt very limited, more than I feel a game with those kind of graphics should be. It was a little too old school in terms of its entire design. Victor Vran, another ARPG that I've been playing a little bit. It's very different. It was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I played that. I think right around its launch. I was actually surprised how much I liked that game.
Yeah, it is. It's very likable, but it is very different.
Yeah. By the way, speaking about games with ASCII graphics, did you ever get a chance to play that Cogmine game that I talked about maybe I want to say 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Yeah, I'd mentioned it to you, and then you said, "Oh, I'd already played that one."
Oh,
and
yeah.
you had a video of it like 2 days prior. No, I've watched videos of it. I had not gotten a chance. I looked for it, but it was new, so it wasn't really on sale for that much. But yeah, that game looks really amazing, and I love the style of those graphics. The way they've really gone all out to make it ASCII but modern. You know what I mean? Then of course, Titan Quest Ragnarok, or however you pronounce that correctly. Then that I have not. I mean, I popped in Titan Quest and I ran around just a little bit to see, I had finished the game. I loaded that character, and I ran around and I was like, wait, I'll hold off until I can really, sink my teeth into it. And then the one that I have not opened yet, and I feel like I should have already played through it, was Roundabout. That's one I've been looking forward to for a long time, and got it, and now I have it, and it's just sitting in my library.
Oh yeah, you gotta play that one, Rob. That's an experience right
Yeah.
there.
I've only seen videos and heard tales, but never experienced it for myself.
hmm Oh, let's see. For me, I I basically took like the slow burn. It took like 3 days for me to spend about I think $100 on games. I picked up Horizon Zero Dawn, which we were talking about on Discord. And I was just completely disappointed in that game. Just did not work for me at all. Um, let's see. Now I forgot all the games that I bought because I've played them all over the last 2 weeks. Again, time flies around here.
See, I just get a cheat sheet. That's how I remember what games I bought.
Let me see. We played that. Oh man. Oh yeah, I picked up the Grim Dawn expansion. Horizon Zero Dawn. I picked up Dishonored 2. Haven't had a chance to play it. I picked up SimCity 2016, so I have to make the video on it. I did buy Plants vs. Zombies 2, Guardian Warfare. I was interested to see how that one turned out. And I'm trying to
Now,
remember.
this is the one. Is this the same one that they had released several years ago?
This was the first-person shooter or third-person shooter.
Oh, interesting. Because
hmm
I remember they had the sequel and people did not like it because it was all
Yeah, the free-to-play one.
microtransactions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the mobile one that a lot of people. Yeah, I tried playing that when I first got my smartphone, and I just did not care for it. Let me see. Maybe I can check my Steam list if I can remember the last few games that we got here. I was going to pick up Shadow Tactics, which is kind of like a stealth game. Excuse me. And I just ran out of money at that point. I didn't want to go over $100.
Yeah.
Let me see. What was the other one? Oh yeah, and I was looking at Prey, but I just again didn't have the chance to pick up either Prey or Wolfenstein that were on sale.
Yeah, that I'm not sure what I want to do with Prey and Wolfenstein. Is that just an update or is it just a whole new experience?
That is the sequel to the Wolfenstein: The New Order that came out. I want to say
Gotcha.
2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, my knowledge of AAA games is limited to the one I work on. That's it.
And let's see. Since then, though, I did finally play Warframe. I've been getting into that. And I picked up the game Getting Over It, which surprised
Uh,
El Gordo, and it is certainly an interesting game. You need to watch footage of it, or just watch me suffer for like 2 hours playing it. Because it is certainly an interesting game, to be sure.
nice.
Let's see. I picked up, or I got got several press keys for game Shadowhand, which we talked about earlier. Oh, you missed it. I got a press key for the game House Party, that dating slash porn game that was released
Oh,
a few
awesome.
months ago. So that was in my inbox. That's surprising.
Now you're
And
getting a reputation.
yeah, exactly. And other Josh suggested that I play and do a video on it. So this channel will become I guess we're becoming a porn channel in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about it. Apparently,
Yeah.
I
Rated
shouldn't.
mature.
I shouldn't joke about that though, because I'm sure YouTube is. I think we just got this video flagged by saying that.
Yeah. It's weird. Like you say the word Hunipop once, and suddenly you get a deluge of those kinds of games to have to pour through. What are you gonna do with it? Are you just gonna be like, sorry, that's not the kind of content we do, or
I don't know yet. I mean, that could certainly work for another Games of Ill Repute analysis if we can't hit the goal again.
yeah,
But we'll see. I'm trying to see on my list here because I know I bought at least one or two other games, and I just can't remember them. Again, I played too many games over the last few days. Got press key for the game Nine Parchments, which is the game from Frozen Byte. They did the Trine series. It's
Mm.
kind of like the Magica, like a light version of that.
Oh yeah. I saw you. I saw that on your page before the stream started.
Oh, here it is. This is what I remember, or I forgot. I picked up Mother Russia Bleeds and River City Ransom Underground. Mother Russia Bleeds is a very interesting game. It's ultra violent game, and like I know it turned off a lot of people because of that. And then you got River City Ransom Underground, which is basically like that old school, basically literally looking like the old NES game. So
Yeah.
two very different beat 'em ups.
That is funny. Now the Russia Bleeds, or I'm probably misremembering the name already, but I do remember seeing that on Steam, and was kind of curious about it. I didn't know if I even put it on my wish list or not. Uh, but it did seem kind of that, like a little bit. I don't know if it seems a little too violent to be. It's probably gonna, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a this choice I think probably hurt their mainstream appeal. And it's just one of those challenges when it comes to marketing your game. And I was going to make a critical thought about this, but kind of the challenge of the vision of your game versus the execution of it. And like that's definitely one of those cases. I mean, that game was explicitly designed around hardcore violence. Like that wasn't just put in, by accident. And it's just kind of one of those situations of, you're kind of like, do you keep to your artistic appeal or do you try to go for a more mass market? And they went for the former. And I'm not sure how well it did.
Well, that's just it. Now, it's got a very positive review. I had to pull up the page just to kind of do it. Of course, it's Devolver, so you're going to get a bunch of people buying it anyway. It's got very positive reviews, which my comment on it is really more about the title. Because when you're basically identifying a whole country, and then you're making a hugely violent game about it. So it's, I don't know. That's what grabs me a little bit about it, is that they basically said, "Here's Russia, and here's a ton of violence. So enjoy." I don't know.
Yeah, I know the developers are not native to the United States. I want to say they're French, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah,
it's Le Cartel Studio, so
yeah, so I think that kind of clues that in. But yeah, like I remember they did an interview with Polygon that they got into trouble with because of the very disturbing imagery in that game. Like when I was doing the video, it definitely got demonetized. I mean, I was not going to argue with YouTube on that one.
Right.
But even with what I showed, there was still more stuff pushing things that I didn't show. I had to be really careful what levels I played for that spotlight.
Yeah, just seeing the screenshots again. It's like I'm not even watching the video. It's gross.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, not to say I won't play a violent game. I've played way too many, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so Warframe though is very interesting. As someone jumping into it for the first time, there's certainly a lot there. I just hope that they get around doing like a touch up of like the first hour or two of gameplay, because it is very robust and obtuse if you're not new or if you're not accustomed to that kind of game.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to play that, Rob?
No.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what more people think about. I know El Gordo and I think my friend AC Ray, they're both heavy players into it. And it's very interesting. I have no idea the game's been out for like 3-4 years now. So I think they won at the Game of the Year Awards. I think they won Best Ongoing Game Award. Which, considering that the game's been out for so long... Oh, wait, did it win or did Overwatch win? Now I'm not even sure. Let me see. See, here's the list, because if they didn't win, I would actually be really surprised. Let's see. Now I'm not sure. How am I going to find that list here? Because we're at the point of the year where, oh no, thank you, Elor, they lost to Overwatch. That is surprising. Overwatch has really only been out for 2 years, and Warframe is pushing 4. And I would honestly say that Warframe has done a lot more than Overwatch at this point. Although I am really surprised that Payday 2 wasn't even up for a nomination.
So some of these categories, because I do not follow most award shows. I've never enjoyed an award show in my entire life, even when I was at an award ceremony as a kid. I hated them. And so they've always had a bad taste in my mouth. But some of these categories are puzzling. Now, the one that's puzzling to me most, and I know there's one that my boss told me about, Is that like the best Chinese game or something like that? That he explained to me. But the best esport really confuses me, and not so much because of the category. It sounds
Wait.
okay. It sounds legitimate. But like, if it's as if you were to say, and this year the best sport award goes to football. It's kind of strange to me. They're very different. You have CS:GO and Street Fighter and Dota slash LOL and PUBG and all this stuff that's very different from each other, and they're in the same category. And PUBG, it's in itself it's questionable game to have up there. But
Yeah.
like that game, because I'm really getting into esports, and that confuses me because it's really your apples and oranges. What
Yeah.
is it? Is it popularity? In which case you got to go Dota and League of Legends, or is it
Competitive edge, and it's gotta be Counter Strike.
right?
Yeah,
So
like Overwatch should not have won best esports game. Where is other Josh? We need to send a flare
that's
up. We
right.
need to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
the
yeah.
we need to put a signal up for him, because I've talked to him several times. He covers all esports, and he said that Overwatch is pretty much a horrible esports game. Like, it is not doing well in terms of that mainstream approach. Like, it's a very hard game to watch. Yeah, I don't see Overwatch winning best esports game. Um, I'm looking at the list. It's up on Polygon. The other thing that kind of caused my eyes to like cross over for a second was Trending Gamer Award. How do you how do you get nominated for that? And I have never heard of any of the people up for that award either. I guess I
Trending game.
won't be up there for next year. I don't know. Maybe if
It's
my
a,
radio show breaks out, we'll
well,
see
if
what
you start
happens.
trending, obviously, you
Oh,
just
now
got
I
to start
gotta
trending.
play House Party. Now, we gotta do it now. There we go. We're going blue for 2018. That's gonna be our mission
Game
statement.
wisdom after dark.
Exactly. That'll be the new Patreon or whatever crowdfunding reward we'll have up.
I agree with Oscar there. Game awards as ads awards.
Hmm.
It feels that way, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was when they go, "Here's our reward for I forget what was presented by Schick or Gillette razors, because we need to be extreme where gamers have to be ready. I guess being clean shaven is an important part of playing video games.
Yeah, that's what I've always seen.
Mm-hmm. Oh goodness! And the best strategy game was Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and XCOM 2 lost, and my heart is aching for that right now.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of folks are. What is your opinion on this? Like, in terms of the Gamer Awards, does it lean console or PC? I'm assuming console. I just want
It's
to make that.
looking pretty console, and Elgordo is saying Josh Blazer as trending speedrunner, yes. Although, let me check it. Do I even still have a record in Cuphead? Oh, and by the way, if you missed the announcement, Rob, they got rid of the weapon swap glitch in Cuphead. So all those things are now basically like null and void.
Yeah, I saw you. I try to keep up with the channel a little bit. Read it at least once a day, and I'm always scrolling through like dozens of comments from you guys. But yeah, I saw that one, and I was like, oh, that is a weird question to ask for speedrunning.
Mm,
Why can't you move them into the non-glitchless
mm.
category? I don't understand.
And apparently they got rid of all my records. I'm not sure why. That's the weird thing.
It's because you're looking to turn to an After Dark channel. They heard about that and they just took
Man,
you
they're
down.
fast.
They are fast.
Oh man, that was quick. Well, I guess my career as a speedrunner ended before it began there. We'll see. I don't know. We'll
It's
see
been
if I decide to do it again with Cuphead being updated or not. Let's see. Did they even give me a reason why? I
you've
don't even
been
have.
yeah, your speedrunner career was retroactively removed.
Man, that was quick.
Yeah.
Man, this month is sucking so far.
Oh my god.
Jeez. What? How is this month going to end? Now I'm afraid.
Yeah. It's gonna end with it turning into a new year. That's what
I
I
hope so.
understand anyway.
I just hope nothing else blows up between now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess let me get back. Let me get off of there. Where was I? Did I get rid? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so best role playing game: Persona 5, Zelda, Resident Evil.
See you, El Gordo.
Oh, all right, all right, Elgar. Thanks for watching it. So hopefully next week you'll be able to stay for the full chat, and we'll see how people come out as well. Hellblade Sensua won a few awards. Nier Automata. Let's see. Legend of Zelda won several awards. Yeah, I've never really taken too much stock in those awards myself. I also agree with a lot of people. It just feels more like, the ad show more than anything else.
Yeah, it's weird. Whenever I hear the winners, it's just did you take everything into account? I know you can only play so many games for an award, and how do they get picked? Who's selecting them? I know Steam does it by vote, which is squirrely in itself.
Yeah. And like I'm looking at let me see, best debut indie game. Wait, there's best debut indie game. Where's the other indie game? Yeah, and some of the reward and then they announce a lot of rewards just like off the cuff, like in between the ads they had to do one. Yeah, like I can already tell you that a few of the games that are on my Game of the Year list aren't even mentioned on their list, so we'll see how things go there. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else regarding the award show. Other than the guy going crazy there. Well, I would say it was at least better than, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago when it was like very cringy. They did like a whole little skit about loot boxes there that like kind of like went over like a lead balloon, I think. But yeah, we'll have to put on our own Game of the Year show maybe next Sunday. Let me see.
Yeah, my Game of the Year show tends to be like, my Game of the Year is one that's from 2007. That's my Game of the Year.
Yeah, but I had to remember all the games I played. I still need 2 more for my best of list.
Wow.
So we'll have to see which ones pop up there. Also,
now, do you have like a best DLC?
I have one that is going to be an expansion, which probably just gave it away right there. But yeah, I can already tell you that Call of Duty is not winning any awards for me. Oh yeah, one thing that I also changed since we last spoke is that anyone who donates at least $5 or more to the Patreon will get our live discussions up early and without ads to them. I figured that would be kind of a way of giving back and trying to sanitize that $5 tier. So we'll see if that actually helps. Of course, I announced that a week before all this drops, so who knows what's going on there.
By the way, you just reminded me, and I don't know why I didn't remind myself of this earlier, is that I can now start listening to all your podcasts since I have an hour plus drive to work and from work.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh man, good luck with that. I always hated those long drives, especially just sitting in the car for that long. It just kills my leg.
I don't mind it so much, at least right now. We'll see how I feel in a month.
You could just turn your little cubicle, your little office, into like a private bedroom, and that way you can just stay there.
Just do the little George Costanza thing, the bed under the desk.
Yeah, they won't notice. Just be very sneaky about it. Let's see. Now, one thing that is going to be very interesting is we're going to try and do a little stream later today. Rob and I were going to try to play either Titan Quest or Grim Dawn. We'll see where things take us. Maybe we can do Grim Dawn. Have you had a chance to actually sit down and play that one yet?
Yeah, I have. Not extensively, and I do not have the latest expansion. I have 2 of the expansions, but not the most recent because it was outside my budget.
Yeah, that was like my big purchase, I guess, at $15. That was my big spender there. But yeah, maybe we could do some Grim Dawn, because we're not going to hit the expansion level content anytime soon.
No, not anytime soon.
We'll see if we can play together, because I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of it, probably hardcore once I'm done with Titan Quest, but I'm going to use the expansion level stuff for that. We can always do something with the other, I think, 6 classes, so we'll sure to have something there.
Cool. Real quick, and you would know, I don't know
Hmm.
offhand because I didn't pay attention. Did Planet Coaster get up for any awards? Of course, that's what I would ask.
No, I don't think it did.
Wow, I feel very hurt right now.
And yeah, I still have no idea why people are nominating PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It's not out yet.
Yeah.
Like it just feels again, and like going back to what we were saying, like it's not so much an award show for quality. It feels like it's an award show for ad revenue.
Yeah.
And yeah, that. Oh, and then they stopped things for an announcement that Uber is going to now allow delivery of McDonald's. That was
Oh
a
yeah.
announcement of the Game of the Year awards, along
We've
with
had
the importance of Gillette razors.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the Uber thing where I've lived both in Oregon and here for the last couple of years, for the last 9 plus months, maybe 6 plus months.
Hmm.
It was like, what then? And it's what now? So,
Yeah, I can tell you I won't be ordering McDonald's with Uber anytime soon, even if they give a really good discount on that with their little promotion code.
yeah.
Let me see. Oh, go ahead. Were you about to say something?
Oh, no, no, no. I was just about to think out loud. Never a good thing.
I know Rainbow Six Siege is still going strong in terms of ongoing games. That's one that I didn't play. I know how challenging those games are, and no, if I can't play League of Legends or Dota 2, I'm not getting involved in a high stakes tactical first person shooter, especially after my failure of Counter Strike.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm terrible at those games. Just I'm going to try and get better, but I'm terrible.
Hey Ether, thanks for coming on.
Hello.
Yeah, we're doing our live show on a very different day. We'll see how many people show up. What I'm going to do though is for people who donate to the Patreon, the VIP tier, I'll probably post the recording of this for Monday for them, and then probably do the ad one or the public one for Tuesday. But I'll have to see how things go because I still have to figure out how to get everything going along with the dissecting design and whatnot as well. So this week will kind of be like our experiment week. We'll see how things go after that. Let me see. Anything else newsworthy? Um, oh, I'm going to be posting, I think, Ramin's podcast I did with him probably for this Friday coming up. Or
Cool.
part one. We'll see. Oh, you missed the podcast I did with Bill Gardner earlier this week. We talked all about horror design, his game perception. He has a crazy light show hooked up so he can turn the lights different hues at command. So now I want that. Maybe that can be a holiday gift there. Just like all of a sudden the lights will start changing behind me.
That's pretty funny.
And anyone who donated $5 to Patreon, that's now available early for them to watch. I think I just posted about an hour before we started talking, and that'll probably go up sometime this week again, the normal version with the ads.
Cool.
Let me see. How are we doing for time? We're about 40 minutes in. I figure let's try to keep it to the hour for today, just because if we do a second stream later, I don't want my voice to be completely dead for that.
Right.
So, I guess in terms of a major topic, I guess here's what I wanted to talk to you about, Rob. Again, with your background with video game producing and for people watching, and that is, what do you think about games that are explicitly designed to be hard to play? And this kind of goes back to what we were saying with Mother Russia Bleeds. Whether it's due to a polarizing visual style, again, we could talk about sex, violence, you name it, or from a game design point of view, such as a game like Surgical or Surgery Simulator, I Am Bread, or even something like This War of Mine. Did you ever play that one?
I have not played that one.
That is a game that takes place during a war, and you're a group of civilians trying to survive. It's very bleak, very brutal in terms of that aspect, and it's kind of very hard to play as well, especially for anyone who's unfortunately had to live through something like that.
Yeah, and now you're discussing mostly hard to play in terms of like you just it takes effort to get through, not in terms of difficulty, but just in terms of like chugging along. through
Yeah,
the
either
storyline.
from a story or from a gameplay point of view. Like I said, with a game like Getting Over It, which again, like I can't describe that. You have to actually see it to believe that one. But like games that you know that the developer did this intentionally. Like this was not a case of someone just having no idea how to build a game. They built it exactly like this. And
Yeah.
apparently my voice is dying, so hold on 1 second. Oh boy, we'll see how long it lasts there. But again, a game that was built around a very specific vision that may not be mainstream or may not be something that's going to be a bestseller.
Yeah, I tend to find a lot of that in
Mm-hmm.
the indie space, of course,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that are going to push that envelope. The one that comes to mind, and we had discussed this before, Gods Are Watching.
Mm-hmm.
That one is tough to get through. Like I got to the torture level, and that one is just like, well, one, I have to solve the puzzle that allows me to get through the torture level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to do that 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like it's already a hard enough game to watch and
Mm-hmm.
get through the story because it's very grim.
Yeah.
On kind of a similar note, but not violent, is Cart Life. That one is difficult because it really does shove the
Mm-hmm.
difficulty of living in a very meager income in a very difficult environment.
Mm-hmm.
It takes sim games to just a whole new level in terms of just bleakness and just
Mm-hmm.
trying to get to the next level without wanting to just leave the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else just came to mind and then left incredibly quickly? Shoot, it's gone again. It was there and then it was gone again. Oh right, it's the one where you're just doing the passports into
Papers,
Russia.
please.
Papers, please. That's another one of those that's
Mm-hmm.
difficult because not only is it tough from a difficulty perspective, but
Mm-hmm.
going through again and again this same dreary, um, at sometimes repetitive, at other times just bad things are happening,
Yeah.
and you're often the cause of them indirectly. That feels bad. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna quickly go through my library see if I can't like bring up anything else.
Yeah. Or here's a recent example I just saw, the Shrouded Isle that we did a play of a few months ago. That
Yeah,
game it's basically a cultist simulator for one thing, but then it has a very visually striking aesthetic with like yellow on like a dark blue. Like it's very hard to look at.
yeah.
And they did that basically to kind of show off or tie into like this disturbing thing that you're playing. But that was a game that started to give me a headache to play for more than like 30, 40 minutes. And again, like that's a case of a game that they didn't do that by accident. Like again, no one was just like fumbling around with color palettes and closing their eyes and going, I'm gonna pick these two and then put that in our game. That
Yeah.
was explicitly built like that. So it goes back to what I was saying with this idea of execution and vision. Like, can you like if the developer did this intentionally, can you really fault them that much for it? But on the other hand, can like if you didn't find that accommodating or you didn't enjoy that, can you mark that down for a review?
I think it's valid from a couple of different perspectives. One, for a review, when you're trying to get people who to either buy or not buy the game, or as an honest reviewer, you can totally say, well, chances are this game isn't going to be for 99% of people, but for that 1% of people who really like this kind of thing, definitely get it because they hit all the notes. But if a game can still be meant to be difficult to get into and hard to just kind of embrace, but also be poorly done.
Mm-hmm.
Does the game hate
Yeah.
you? That is a good way of putting it. Um, there's I was just going through Lone Survivor is one that comes to that uh, makes me feel that
Yeah.
way. Let's see what else. I mean, they just do so many, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, again, mostly in the indie space. It is. It's valid to say it's a bad game, but you really have to dig to figure out what their intention was and
Mm-hmm.
see whether or not they were successful. I was playing like a creepypasta game that was just obscure, and it was a link from some article, and that was definitely, it was like they're trying to get you to, um, you know, vomit your lunch back up because it was just very jarring all the time. Like
Yeah.
they had plenty of like little trigger points that you'd hit them and suddenly the whole scene would change and then change back. Like it was very just jarring, intentionally jarring. I don't know if it was good because I think people put time into it in terms of imagery, but I don't think anyone put time into it in terms of playability. Um, which again could have been their intention, but it's easy to say, "Oh, I intended it to be unplayable." It's very
Yeah.
easy to say that.
Oh
It's
yeah.
other,
Yeah, and that's the other point. Like, you can say whatever you want about the game once it's been released. You can say, oh, why are you offended by it? This is, we were just making it as a joke. Like if someone complains about it and stuff like that.
yeah,
And it's just very hard due to how tricky it is to make a video game in the first place. And I
yeah,
mean, as everyone knows, what you start with in terms of design a game can be vastly different than what it ends up at.
yeah. I agree with that entirely. Now, I would say that one of these that's on the fence would be Dwarf Fortress, because I think it's a tremendous simulation game with a very clunky UI, and one might say, well, they intended to do that or something like that. But I look at it and I say, no, no one intended to do this. It's just bad UI. It's a great game. It just has bad UI. But I can see some people arguing it in favor of that. I just shrug. Yeah, that to me is an example of they didn't intend that. They're just not good at it,
Yeah.
which is fine. If you can make up for it with a good game, you do whatever you want. Like make it a terrible UI, but you better make up for it.
Yeah, like I would argue that UI design is one of those things that you can't really argue for a bad one. Like it's you either do it right or you don't do it right, and you get knocked for it. Because it's
You
one of
just
those things that is universal, I think, in terms
right.
of
You
yep.
you just gave me an idea for a game. UI the game. You have to claw yourself through bad UI to get to the good UI.
Perfect. There you go. And every 10 minutes, it just randomly changes into something else, just to confuse the player.
Puts a tutorial in the middle.
And then the ending screen is just the intro screen of the game.
That's funny.
Yeah, and like when it comes to like certain aspects of game development, you do have to be careful. Like I've said this before, but and especially from the independent space, as you're well aware of, Rob, that there are plenty of games that just go a little too far outside the box in terms of its control scheme or UI, and it falls into that position of did this developer do this intentionally, or did they just not know a better way of doing it? Like I've seen many indie games that use some like crazy control schemes for how you're supposed to play, like use YUI and ASD to control your character. I'm like, how is someone's hand supposed to work like that?
Yeah.
And
Now,
yep, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, QWOP is one of
Yeah.
those that intentionally did that, and I feel like a lot of people copy it and say, "Well, we're just doing what QWOP did," like what you said. But yeah, it's they can do it intentionally and fail. Like that's what I believe that you're basically describing.
Or something like I Am Bread again, that the control scheme was purposely meant to be, very cumbersome, very frustrating. So, how do you separate that from a game that wasn't designed to be intentionally frustrating, but the developer just didn't know how to build a control scheme?
Right. And one of my comments on that, and I have not played that game, I've just seen images, and my comment there would be, well, why would you make a game that is this visually interesting and all that stuff, and then ruin people's experience? Like when I see QWOP, I'm like, I definitely know that this is all about the controls. But for a game like that, I feel like, well, I thought this was about the experience, this weird postmodern bread thing, Octodad. Exactly.
Yep.
I agree with Avik there. I only played that for 5 minutes. I was like, no, never again.
Yeah, I played through the whole thing after we did the grab bag of it a few weeks ago, and yeah, I mean, very entertaining game from a story perspective, but once you get annoyed by that UI, there's no coming back from it. Like, it's not going to get to that point where you're like, oh, it works now, I can enjoy it. No. Once you hate it, you hate it forever.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I had to come across another one. I feel like a lot of the ones that are just the hard to play visually are tend to be horror games
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Goat Simulator was kind of one that I just came up with. It's difficult to play, and a lot of it's bad and glitchy. And I feel like he retroactively
Yeah.
claimed that it was purposeful,
Yeah,
mostly by not fixing it.
that's another one that's very interesting. Yeah, like again, like when we start getting to the topics of bugs and issues like that, I'm definitely of the opinion that get them fixed. Like,
Yeah,
no, you're not having a grand statement on game design by leaving your game buggy and unfinished. That doesn't work for me.
yeah,
Speaking about horror, though, that's what we talked about on the cast with Bill Gardner earlier this week. That a lot of the horror games were intentionally designed to have those very cumbersome, very tank-like controls as a way of reducing the player's power. Or I
yeah,
brought up kind of a way of evening the playing field because it didn't matter what your skill level was when everyone's dealing with the same, stop here, have to turn, shoot, and then turn back very slowly kind of design.
yeah.
So, like, there is some case for that. Like, again, like, it's very hard to look at something as an intentional design feature, or a developer just not knowing what they were doing and just had to, duct tape the solution together.
Yeah, it is difficult, and with games in particular, because you're expecting to have a level of
Mm-hmm.
skill going into it for the most part. And I don't like the name Walking Simulator because I do feel like there is a legitimate element there for games. It just doesn't involve skill specifically. Um, Games made for Twitch. It's like music made for MTV. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing we saw. We saw a lot of games over the last year or so being, Twitch favored or, designed intentionally for Twitch. Like, I've seen some good examples. There have been games that integrated Twitch in terms of, fan interaction or letting them affect the game. Like, Cluster Truck is the one that keeps coming to my mind. Have you ever heard of that one?
I've heard of it. I haven't done much research into it or anything.
Yeah, but we have certainly seen games that were Twitch or, clearly designed for YouTube. Like, we could argue, like, the Five Nights at Freddy's series or all the jump scare inspired games were really meant for, someone watching the game rather than someone playing the game.
Yeah.
And that's what we.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead. You want to go first?
No, you.
Yeah,
You.
and that's always been one of the things that's like kind of stopped me from really getting to those Five Nights at Freddy's games because they just seem more for someone watching than for someone actually enjoying and trying to play those games.
And the comment I was going to make is on that is that's a weird dynamic because the watcher generally isn't paying for the game,
Mm-hmm. Yep, of
and
course.
and you're also ruining the content. So the watcher is probably never going to pay for the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just never really managed to grab me like that. And they just released a free, supposedly Five Nights at Freddy's 6. Again, in like the 2 week span since we last saw you. Everything
Yeah,
happened in those
I
two
read about that
weeks.
though. I read about it in your guys' forum or
Mm-hmm.
in the chat.
Yeah. So
I do
again,
look.
very interesting, like that kind of marketing strategy. But again, goes back to what we were saying a few minutes ago. Five Nights at Freddy's was clearly designed, 100% for that. But what about all the other games like that? Were they designed or they were just simply copying FNAF?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
see. Now, of course, like going at this from the other point of view, there are people who argue for games that are very unique in terms of their gameplay. You said a few seconds ago, Rob, the quote unquote walking simulator genre. Games like the Stanley Parable, Gone Home, Firewatch, and the like. There are people who outright hate those games due to their lack of gameplay. Or even something
yeah.
like What Remains of Edith Finch. Like that actually won, I think, Best Narrative for the Game of the Year awards.
Hmm.
But again, the question is like, if you're trying to review something like that, or like, let's just go general, like, if someone's trying to write a review of a game like Gone Home, how do you review a game like that basically you see everything mechanically speaking within the first 15 seconds? Like, can you review a video game entirely for its story?
Well, in that regard, you have to.
Yeah.
You really have to. And I think part of the problem is uh, a lot of game review. You can't play the whole game. It's just you can't like a role playing game. You just can't play the whole game. It's just you can't. You don't have time as a reviewer. You'd like to, but 80 hours just it's too long. But a
Hmm.
game like Gone Home, you can play the whole thing, and all you can really say is
Yeah.
either you can either allude to maybe being disappointed by the ending, or maybe being like, and at that point, how much are you giving away um, of the story, and how much are you allowed to as a reviewer give away? Not necessarily
Hmm.
restricted by rules, but by ethically, and just
Hmm.
keeping your viewer in account.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, we can talk about mechanically driven games like Mario, XCOM, Zelda, even, of course, like PUBG, Warframe, and the like. I mean, we can dig into those games from a game system point of view and, who knows, spend an easy 800 to 1,000 words there. But what about games where it's not really designed around that experience? Like, it's designed, or it's not designed so much around the gameplay point of view, it's designed around the quote unquote experience of that game. Like
Yeah.
something like Her Story. That's another great example. That's a game that you can really only play once, like in terms of like that fresh experience. Or like the Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker from earlier this year as well. Like, these are games where it's not really about you playing them to beat them. It's about you playing them to experience what they have to offer. I mean, hell, I just forgot the perfect example. The games from Tale of Tales, the two-person team that they make all kinds of artistic games that, yes, they are experienced, but they are horrible in terms of a gameplay point of view because there's nothing there, or it's just
Hmm.
very limited.
Yeah, I like the term that Pavik brings up, virtual experience simulators. I hate walking. I hate
Hmm.
walking simulator. That term just, to me, is just like saying, you know what? There's nothing at all. There's not even story. It's just walking. And I can see that if you're a gamer and you buy a game expecting to play a game, you're going to be disappointed. But if you are expecting to experience
Hmm.
a game like this, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like the Stanley Parable for me is just, it plays on games. Like
Hmm.
it really does screw with all the
And that's
mentality of a video game.
and that's another perfect example. Like, that game was designed 100% to be like that.
Yeah.
But I guess here's a question for you, Rob. After a game like Gone Home, Papers, Please, Dear Esther, the like, can someone make a second game like that? Like, can someone try and copy that experience, or is it just such too unique? Like, you're basically trying to rip someone off at that point.
I think you can. I think that something in particular, like Stanley Parable, it's got so many unique things about it. You can do a
Hmm.
lot. You can move away from the whole comments
Hmm.
on like video games and those experiences, and put it into a different kind of story that kind of just messes with your head a little bit. Gone Home. I mean, again, these are all stories, so I believe so. Dear Esther and Gone Home, there isn't much different about them,
Hmm.
really.
It's
Gone Home, there's a
more.
little more investigation,
Hmm.
a little more open worldness, but and Dear Esther's just kind of following a track that's just a very nice track.
Yeah.
Um, but the one I feel like that's weird is the Amnesia people who made a sequel of the very game, or not a sequel, but like basically they copied their first game into a second game,
And they
and that
even
one,
made it even more simple there too.
yeah, yeah, there
Hmm.
was like faux gaming elements in the first one, but then the next one was just, yeah, you're not, there's no real danger, it's just scare.
Yeah. And going back to the point of the walking simulator, someone I spoke to, I cannot remember their name sadly, suggested maybe something like first person adventure game or first person something like that as a possible title. But
Yeah, I still like virtual experience. That's
mhm,
that's a nice one.
yeah, or first person, or yeah, virtual experience. I think that's simple enough for it. But yeah, like, it's always tricky when it comes to trying to find games like this because again, whenever we talk about this, it brings up the old question: what is a video game?
Yeah,
And that easily adds like 2 hours to any
yeah,
discussion if we bring that
yeah.
up.
Um, You just reminded me of another one. Oh my God, from years ago. It was for the Sega CD. It was like the first one of the first two games for the Sega CD. Um, there was the Tunnel Shark, I think that was what it was called,
Sewer
and
Shark,
then
I think.
Sewer Shark, and then there's the one that came out basically adjacent to that, where you were, it was like you were viewing a home and trying to, you
Night
drop
Trap.
Night Trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is one of those that I feel like, I mean, it's more like Dragon's Lair, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just memorizing a series of events,
Mm-hmm.
but it just feels like it's mostly something to watch.
Yeah.
It's weird to watch, and certainly they sold it on being a little bit, mature and edgy, but it was not at all. Um, Certainly not by today's comparisons, anyway, or by today's standards. But like I feel like this kind of game has been around for so long, but under many different guises. Uh, I don't know. Text adventure games. That's another question. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically an open world exploration device. You just can't see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen a few of those on Steam this past year. Again, like as we said earlier in the cast, like the ASCII-driven games. That's another great point. Like we have those games that they are harking back to the old school era, but can someone new appreciate those games? And I don't generally think so. Like I say this before, like the old pen and paper RPGs, your Might and Magics, Ultima, and the like. I
Yeah.
can go back to those games. They could be amazing titles, but I have no, rose tinted glasses for those games. I mean,
Right.
hell, we could say the same thing about the original XCOM. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine giving the original XCOM to someone brand new today, sight unseen, ask them to play it.
Yeah.
Chances are they're going to hate that game.
Yeah, back when you had four directions to move, not even barely even eight, and certainly with ASCII games,
Hmm.
text adventures, yeah, I have a very special place in my heart for them. But yeah, no one's gonna take the time to learn all the commands and figure out all the
Hmm.
kludgy things you have to do. Um, but the one thing I think you can do is be clever about it, and I feel like Cogmind is a good example because they take something that looks ancient and then
Hmm.
they add all kinds of effects and modern UI and just all kinds of great things. Certainly, um, yes, they're better to play than watch, but the game, it's all, yeah, exactly. But
Hmm.
going back to Cogmind, they take the ASCII stuff and they just ratchet it up to the next level.
Hmm.
So if someone wanted to do a text adventure and just ratchet it up, they really could. It would take a lot of thought and a lot of
Yeah.
consideration,
It
but you
takes
might be able to leverage it.
Yeah, it takes more than just simply copying. You really
Yes.
have to elevate it.
Yeah.
Like, and actually, I just remember a point I wanted to bring up earlier when you were talking about I Am Bread and saying how they kind of almost create like a contradiction between the bright, unique visual design and the controls. That's what a lot of people were saying about Cuphead in terms of the that beautiful aesthetic with the brutal difficulty. And again,
And that, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and that's another case of a game that was one, billion% design like that. I mean, Studio MDHR, they weren't cutting corners. They made that game exactly how they wanted it, and basically they said, you're along for the ride.
Yeah, and the problem I have with that, the whole Cuphead thing, is that you know, being around games as long as we have,
Hmm.
we know it's a 2D platformer, and we know 2D platformers can be brutal. So to me, it wasn't that shocking. I'm like,
Hmm.
it's a platformer. What is? It just looks amazing. Like growing up, platformers were basically it, and one would look more amazing and add more features and just look better and better. And that
Hmm.
was the amazing part. But you always knew, well, this is going to be pixel perfect jumping and all kinds of like difficult maneuvers and that kind of thing. So to me, when Cuphead came out and people were like impressed by the difficulty, negatively or positively, I just thought to myself, well, it's just I mean, it's a platformer. That's all I could see. All I did see was that it just had a nice, very amazing sheen on it that I was so impressed by.
Hmm. Yep. And there's always that discussion over, like, are these things like beneficial to the game even if they do hurt their mainstream appeal? Like, again, like with something like Mother Russia Bleeds, that found a very specific audience. But I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people who took one look at that game and said, nope, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
And
but again, the publisher kind
yeah,
of gives it away to me.
mm-hmm. Yep. And again, like it's always that challenge of, do you make the game you want to make, or do you make the game you want to sell?
Yeah,
And and that's a very wide line for a lot of games.
that's another discussion right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's our time anyway? I know we're over the hour now, so
Okay.
maybe we should wrap things up for today. And
Yeah.
again, we'll get back in the swing of things for next Sunday. For those of you watching this live, Rob and I may be doing a live play of Grim Dawn together later today. We'll still have to talk about how we're going to stream it and whatnot, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing this for the going for the future Sundays around again like 2:33, with the recording probably going up for Tuesday, I want to say, because I'll post this early for everyone for Monday. For anyone who supports the Patreon, then the free version will be up the following day. But be sure to look forward to this week's Dissecting Design for tomorrow. If you are not a regular listener on game-wisdom.com, I posted the podcast I did with Colin Sullivan, who works at Patreon at the moment, and we discuss some various legal issues when it comes to working in the game industry, making a game, and even some along crowdfunding and fair use. So be sure to give a listen over there. And
My
like I
former
said,
business partner, by the way. Very
yeah.
nice guy.
Mm-hmm. And Rob, again, it's been great hanging out with you, and we'll see what happens next Sunday when we do our show again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate the flexibility you guys have had, and I enjoy coming on. So it's a great thing. And by the way, for today, if you want to do something as late as 7 or 8 Eastern, I'm fine with that.
All right, that may be a little bit better for me. We'll
Like
talk about that
point,
off stream, yeah. So yeah, and like I said when I was telling people, like I figure like I'm not married to Thursday night, so if it was to hold the day or keep you as a show, I figure or keep you as a host, I figure I'm more than happy to move, and I think a lot of people enjoy listening to you talk.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm happy to hear that. I hope that's the case.
Oh, Mike, you missed the announcement I said earlier. I'm actually talking with Jake and Cliff about the podcast. We're right now trying to schedule the day for this week. Once we have the time set up, I'll make a little announcement about it and update everyone on it. So, yeah, look forward to that coming real soon. But I think that's going to do it. So, we'll be back later tonight, probably for our live stream. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning to this week's show. Again, look forward to it for Sundays for those of you watching this recorded. And be sure to check out Rob's. You're still streaming on the weekend if you want to give people your Twitch channel?
Yeah,
or where
for sure. Twitch.tv/IndieVoyageRob or Twitch.tv/RNGGodsTV. I'm on both of those on the weekends. I do either Planet Coaster or ARPGs, generally speaking. So yeah, check me out if you like Planet Coaster or Grim Dawn /Titan Quest Torchlight /whatever. I've been playing more of those lately.
Great. I guess as a quick aside, any update regarding Torchlight, with of course Runa Games being closed? Like, were you able to? Are they still keeping like the features up and stuff like that?
They had an announcement that I never saw. I need to check their page again. Maybe they've made that announcement, but I have not played it since I got these new games. I've been so busy trying to catch up with the other ARPGs that I've been missing out on that I have not played Torchlight in the last couple of months to 6 weeks, let's say.
All right. Well, I think with that, we'll end things for today. So, Rob and I will probably see you guys later tonight for our play. And, yeah, tune in for next Sunday for our live show. And once I hear back from Jake and Cliff regarding the time, we'll talk about another live developer cast this week. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, be sure to like and subscribe. And like I said, if you'd like to support me on Patreon, get access to our private Discord, voting for games, and even ad-free versions of these videos, be sure to check out patreon.com/gwbicer. But otherwise, thanks again for tuning in. Have a great Sunday, and we'll talk to you again next week. Until then, have a great day.